The US Open is just around the corner, and while everyone's talking about rackets and rankings, a new rival threatens to steal the spotlight: New York's extreme weather. But just how serious is this problem? Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and the rest of tennis's elite are gearing up for the last Grand Slam of the year, but this time, they're not just facing each other. Get ready to discover how heat, mental pressure, and recent history are turning the US Open into a ticking time bomb. Carlos Alcaraz has decided not to play in the Masters 1000 in Toronto. The reason? He needs to rest. And he knows the real challenge lies just days away, when the Masters 1000 in Cincinnati begins, the warm-up for the much-anticipated US Open. His main goal is Flushing Meadows, where he's not just aiming to reclaim his throne but also settle a score with Jannik Sinner. But the challenge is twofold: to beat his rival. And the weather. This year, the US Open will be played under a threat that comes not from the net or the baseline. The extreme heat in New York has already raised alarms. Temperatures could reach up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. That doesn't just affect the players, it impacts the fans, the organizers, and even the match scheduling. In a tournament of this level, any slight distraction can change everything. Organizers are already considering special measures: mandatory breaks, indoor matches, cooling zones. And it's no wonder. The players' health is on the line. Heat doesn't forgive, and we all remember scenes of athletes dehydrated, exhausted, or even forced to retire. This year, that danger is more real than ever. But what worries Carlitos the most is that, this time, he doesn't arrive as the absolute favorite. Jannik Sinner is in the form of his life, and for the first time, the Spaniard seems to have lost some confidence against him. We saw it at Wimbledon, where Alcaraz admitted to feeling inferior. In tennis, the mental battle is just as important as the physical one. If that doesn't change soon, history could repeat itself. Or get worse. The rivalry between Sinner and Alcaraz has grown like few others. In 2022, they gave us an epic US Open match, where Carlitos pulled off a miraculous comeback. Now, the duel seems to tilt in favor of the Italian, who has not only improved his game but also his emotional strength. Carlitos knows it, he needs more than talent to beat him again. That's why he chose to stop, breathe, and prepare mentally and physically to be at 100%. He knows the weather, the rival, and the storyline are all against him. But if there's one thing Carlos Alcaraz is known for, it's shining in the toughest moments. The question is, will that be enough this time to withstand the heat and reclaim the crown? It's not just Carlos in this race. Jannik Sinner has seized every opportunity to strengthen his game, and especially his on-court presence. Many experts believe this could be his year, and his recent performance at Wimbledon proved he's no longer just a promising talent, he's a serious threat. He knows how to beat Carlitos, and that marks a significant shift in their rivalry dynamic. But let's not forget this season's wildcard: the heat. Under normal conditions, a match between Sinner and Alcaraz can last 5 hours. At nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it becomes an extreme endurance test. Muscles fail, the mind clouds, and the body hits its limits. Scenes of players vomiting or suffering heat strokes could happen again, and no one wants that. Tournament organizers know decisions must be made before it's too late. Proposals include delaying matches to late afternoon or using retractable roofs to avoid direct sun. Still, the conditions won't be ideal. Physical preparation and hydration will be more crucial than ever, and every second of rest could make the difference. And that's where Alcaraz's decision to rest gains value. Skipping Toronto allows him not only to regain strength but to acclimate to what's coming. In Cincinnati, we'll see an early test, but the real thermometer will be Flushing Meadows. There, every point will hurt more. Every mistake will stand out. And every tactical decision will be vital. It's a golden opportunity, yes, but also a disguised trap. This year's US Open won't be just a sports battle, it will be a marathon of endurance. Sinner, Alcaraz, and the rest must adapt to a hostile environment, where the enemy may be invisible, but deadly. Only those who stay calm under pressure can dream of lifting the trophy. The memory of 2022 is still fresh. That unforgettable match between Alcaraz and Sinner, where the Spaniard saved match points and went on to win the title, was pure character. Now, in 2025, a new chapter is being written. But this time, the context is tougher, the conditions more demanding, and the glory much harder to reach. Who will emerge victorious? Carlos Alcaraz faces a huge challenge: to reclaim his spot at the top of the tennis world in one of the most grueling tournaments of the year, under the most extreme conditions. New York's scorching heat won't be just a weather detail, it'll be a key factor in every match, every set, and every move on court. The battle against Jannik Sinner promises to be historic, but the climate, the mind, and the body will be just as important. It'll be a true war of endurance and strategy, where only the best prepared will prevail. The 2025 US Open won't be just another tournament, it'll be a trial by fire. Literally. Can a champion build his own legacy without living in the shadow of legends? Carlos Alcaraz, two-time Roland Garros champion and current world number 2, has made it clear, he doesn't want to be the new Rafa. Even though the world constantly compares him to Nadal, Carlitos is writing his own story. And doing it his way. In a recent interview, Alcaraz opened up like rarely before. He spoke about pressure, identity, his relationship with Jannik Sinner, and even home-cooked meals. Want to discover the more human side of the Spanish phenomenon? Stick around, this story will make you see tennis differently. Carlos Alcaraz has had a brilliant year. He won his second Roland Garros, triumphed at Queen's, and reached the Wimbledon final. But it's also been an exhausting season. That's why he made an unexpected decision: to stop. He pulled out of the Canadian swing to take a well-earned rest and mentally prepare for the final stretch of the season. His return will be in Cincinnati, with eyes firmly set on the US Open. But beyond titles, something deeper weighs on his mind: his identity as a tennis player. In an interview with the Financial Times, Alcaraz made it clear that he doesn't want to be the new Rafa. While he admires Nadal, he doesn't want to live in his shadow. "I don't want people to call me Rafa's successor," he said bluntly. And it's easy to see why. Comparisons can sound flattering, but they're also a heavy burden. Carlitos doesn't aim to imitate, he wants to build something of his own. Because deep down, every champion has their own style, path, and story. The media pressure is real. At a young age, Carlos has experienced what few have: glory, cameras, headlines. But also expectations, rumors, and constant judgment. That's why he defends his authenticity. "If you don't stay true to your values, the pressure can consume you," he explained. It's a powerful message, especially from an athlete still shaping his career. Beyond his game, Alcaraz has shown maturity in managing fame without losing himself in it. He speaks calmly, smiles genuinely, and seeks to be more than a fan idol. He doesn't want to repeat what someone else already did. His ambition isn't to match, it's to surpass without copying. And that sets him apart. Because in a world full of labels and comparisons, choosing to be yourself is a bold act. His relationship with Jannik Sinner reflects this too. While many try to build drama between them, the reality is quite different. They compete fiercely, yes, but off the court, there's mutual respect and even friendship. They train together, see each other often, and admire one another. People look for friction, but the truth is different, he clarified. In a sport where everything seems about rivalry, they're betting on humanity. For Alcaraz, being a good person is just as important as being a great tennis player. "We want to push ourselves, but also be good people," he added. And those words aren't just pretty phrases, they're a life philosophy. Because tennis ends on the court, but the person continues off it. And that's crystal clear in Carlitos. Beyond titles and fame, Carlos Alcaraz finds comfort in simple things. In the interview, he shared how much he values those moments between tournaments, where he can return home and disconnect from the tennis world. "My mom's cooking is always the best," he said with a laugh. Amid a hectic schedule, he still finds happiness in homemade meals and an occasional off-limits dessert. That search for balance is a key part of his success. Because in a sport where every detail matters, it's also important to know when to stop. To know who you are. Carlitos gets it, it's not all about non-stop training or winning at all costs. You also need to recharge, go back to your roots, and remember why it all started. And he finds that in his family, his home, and those little things many overlook. In another key point, Alcaraz voiced criticism of the digital world. For him, social media isn't just a tool, it can also be a weapon. "There's no worse weapon than words," he said, referring to the impact online comments can have on athletes. It's no surprise that many suffer from criticism, judgment, or constant comparisons. And while he has thick skin, he's not immune. That's why he chooses to keep his distance. He uses social media sparingly, avoids online arguments, and focuses on his path. That emotional maturity is rare, especially at his age. He understands that being a public figure has a price, but he also knows he doesn't have to overpay. He chooses to focus on what he loves, playing tennis with passion, without losing his essence. Carlos Alcaraz's authenticity makes him more than just a sports talent. He's an example of how to handle pressure without giving into it. Of how to compete fiercely without needing to tear others down. And of how to succeed without letting the world shape you. He doesn't want to be the new anyone. He wants to be himself. and that's more than enough. As the world awaits his return in Cincinnati, Alcaraz is recharging from the inside out. Physically, of course, but also emotionally. Because he knows the upcoming season won't just be another chance to win titles. It'll be another chance to prove that being yourself is the best play. And he's ready to take the next step. His way. Carlos Alcaraz has proven that it's not enough to win trophies to be great. You also need character, conviction, and deep self-respect. His refusal to be labeled the new Rafa isn't a lack of admiration, it's a sign of identity. He doesn't want to sit on a borrowed throne, he wants to build his own. With a solid mindset, surprising maturity, and undeniable talent, Alcaraz is transforming modern tennis. Not just through what he does on the court, but through how he thinks, how he acts, and how he lives. In a world that demands copies, he chooses to be original. And that authenticity will no doubt be the foundation of his legacy.